Well, hello and welcome. I'm going to assume that this is on and that we are talking, so I hope you're joining me. Thank you very much for being here. I'm Bill Skladowski. This is Bill's iPhone Tips, and this is what I hope will be the first of several Friday live broadcasts, for lack of a better idea, called Office Hours. Remember when you were in college and or maybe when you had a job and the boss had office hours, or your college professor had office hours. And that means, when you had questions or needed extra help with something, or I don't know, the boss called you in. That was not a good one. But they had office hours, which means you could basically show up anytime and just ask questions and get some help and hopefully make your life easier and better, which is exactly what we are doing today. So, like I said, the plan is that every Friday we're going to do an office hours broadcast to kind of preview the videos that are coming up in the next week and also to answer any questions. Now, I will say that this is the first time I have used the streaming software that I am using. And if I figured it out correctly, well, then we should be okay. And if not, I apologize in advance, but that's okay. So let's dig right in, shall we? So first things first. Coming up next week, we're going to start a couple series of videos about the changes that have happened with the upgrade to iOS 26. Now, if you have a new phone, now you can see my phone over here, but I'm using the same exact phone here. So as I swipe through it, yep, you can see swiping and it will swipe. So hopefully that will make things easy for us to show and tell together, and I can demonstrate exactly what's going on. That's the plan. If you got a new iPhone, like I did around Christmas time, as we record this, it's the end of January. If you got the new iPhone anytime after the announcement of the iOS 26 or iPhone 17s, I know that the numbers are always a little crazy, but the newest phone hardware is an iPhone 17. This year, for the first time ever, Apple decided to try doing what basically everybody else has been doing forever, like car models, or, what do you drive? Well, I drive the 2024 Hyundai Tucson or whatever. They've changed the numbering system on the software that runs the iPhones and the iPads and your Mac computer, if you have one, to match the year. So whereas it used to just count up, I don't know when they started with the regular numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, up to wherever they ended up at. Now they're going to do it with the year. So if you have an iPhone and you look into your iPhone, and we'll take a look at this later, with the system settings and what the software version is, since we are in the year 2026, well, your iPhone is running iOS 26. My only question is to Apple, what took you so long to figure that out? If you have an iPad, but it's iPad OS 26. It's iWatch, Mac computer, they're all using that numbering system to kind of make it a little easier for all of us to know where we're at. Now, as the year goes on, of course, they will have point numbers, iOS 26.1, 0.2, 0.3, and I'll show you on my phone where to see that if you're curious. If you bought a new phone or you upgraded a phone, like I did, then you got that iOS 26 installed automatically. It was there when you took the phone out of the box. That's what I did. For some folks with older hardware, you have an iPhone 14, 15, 16, does not matter. You've probably been prompted, or it's happened automatically, where your iPhone has upgraded itself to that new software, that iOS 26. By the way, if you ever didn't really know that in the past, iOS, iPhone operating system, iOS, now you know. And iPad operating system, iOS. It's clever how all that works together. So anyway, that's just how to know what software version you are running. Now, one of the things I wanted to talk about, because this channel really is geared toward folks of, well, shall we say, a little more maturity, a little older folks. All right, I'm just going to come right out and say it. Look at it. Look at this gray hair. Come on. So folks who, might have senior eyes like mine. And so the first thing we're going to tackle is some of the ways that you can make the iPhone easier to read and see and use. And if you're doing it with a phone, that's fine. If you have an iPad, by the way, all of the instructions that we talk about and all the things I show you on the iPhone will work on your iPad as well. You just happen to know that when you go to the settings part of your iPad, it shows it. Well, I have one. I have my trusty iPad. I could probably show it to you, but I don't know how well that would work on the camera. Let's try. Let's give it a quick try. All right, if I go over to settings on my iPad, well, yeah, right there. You can tell by looking at it that your iPad shows you things in 2 columns, right? Whereas your iPhone shows you in 1 column of information, and then you tap on things and it digs deeper into it. But if you have an iPad, it's exactly the same instructions and same things that we'll be doing. It just looks a little different. So don't let that freak you out. Okay. So one of the things that Apple really thought was super cool, and let's say they're always trying to make things look a little bit different every year. It's like a car, right? I mean, when you were buying cars, are you still, of course, when you were buying cars, we all buy cars all the time. They change a little bit every year. It's a different, hubcap style. It's the creases on the body panels look a little different, but year after year, it's kind of the same, but then they just kind of upgrade it a little bit at a time, and you can go, oh yeah, my, 5-year-old, again, I drive a Hyundai, so my 5-year-old Hyundai kind of looks like the brand new ones, but you can see how they've progressed along the time. Why am I mentioning that? Because Apple does the same thing with their software that run iPhones, iPads, and Mac computers. So if you kind of know the basics, you're going to be fine. But sometimes, and I think they did it this time, Apple came up with this thing called liquid glass. If you're older, more mature, a little bit more of a senior with the senior vision, and I keep pointing to my eye because I had eye surgery earlier in the year, and it was a little crazy. If you had a little bit of a vision issue, or you want just things to look simple, neat, tidy, easy to recognize, and you unboxed that new iPhone and you fired up that shiny new iPhone and you looked at it and you went, wow, it's really got a lot going on there. Apple came out with this thing that they call liquid glass, which is just their way. I know it's kind of hard to see on this screen, but we'll demonstrate it as we go, of showing things that make it look kind of like semi-clear, kind of like looking through a magnifying glass. All right, it's cute. I get it. But again, for those of us with older eyes, maybe not so easy to use. So today, to get into things, we are going to do exactly that. We're going to talk about at least 3, maybe 4 ways that you can make your iPhone easier to see, read, and use. And again, all the things we talk about with the iPhone apply to your iPad just exactly the same. All right, Bill, let's get going with this. Now, first things first, if you have questions, I think my software will allow you to drop them into YouTube where you're watching, and they will show up, and I will try and answer them if I can. Again, first time using this software, just going to tell you right off the bat, may or may not be able to see or get to everything that I'm doing. So thank you for your patience as we go. Say that in advance. All right. Making the iPhone easier to see, even though it's using that fancy liquid glass thing in iOS 26. The whole idea here is if your screen suddenly feels a little harder to read, you're not imagining it. It was built that way. iOS 26 changed the way things look, where a few buttons are, how it reacts, all of that sort of a thing. So, feel free to follow along as we go. If you see some things that are interesting, you can try them and test them out on yourself. Of course, you're always free to rewind the video and take a look at it as we go. All right? By the end of the video, by the end of this time, you should be a little more calm and clear about what you can see and do with your iPhone. That's the whole idea. This liquid glass thing added some levels of transparency to the iPhone, and that may be of a strain. A lot of folks that I've talked to, again, of my generation, of our generation, have reported that it's a little harder to see and a little harder to use. Okay? We're going to be digging into a lot of things today under the accessibility menu on your settings in your iPhone or iPad. If you've never heard of that, don't worry, we'll show it to you in a second, okay? So, the first way, let's just dig in with all of this. We're talking about how liquid glass kind of changes the way things look and feel on your screen, and what you can do to change it back to a more, shall we say, standardized view of things so that it's easier to read for older eyes. That's all I'm going to say. All right, make it easy for you. That's all. All right, so it all starts with Settings app on your iPhone. Now, don't know where that is, of course. Find that gear icon up there in the upper right. You see it on my screen with the little red number 1 there. That's a notification. We'll probably get to that someday soon. But settings, okay? And then we're going to open that up. And the first thing that you're going to look for here under set. Now, all I'm doing, by the way, I'm scrolling. You can see, scroll and scroll. Pretty clever, huh? The way that works. So you can follow along, or you can just watch and then do it later if you choose. Doesn't matter. But see what we're doing and see if it helps for you, okay? First things we're looking for, display and brightness. See that blue right there? The blue display and brightness? Okay. Oh, backwards. Right about mid-screen. Right about eye level for me. Going to open that up. All right. And then there it is right there, liquid glass, the setting for it. Okay. And if you tap on that, you get 2 choices. You get clear and tinted. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, this doesn't change a whole heck of a lot, but it's a start. So let's start here, and then we'll get into the more, the bigger things that we can do later on, okay? So anyway, the difference, again, pretty subtle between clear and tinted. Right now it's clear. Now look at the bubble there around the 3 icons where the trash can and the folder and the arrow is. Look at the kind of the bubble around that, if you will. I know you can barely see it now because it's set for clear, but if we change this just by tapping on tinted, watch what happens. It changes to a little more white, a little whiter. You can kind of see it, right? Okay, cool. So again, clear, very clear, tinted, a little more background to it, a little whiteness to it. Okay, cool. Now, will this change when you are in dark mode, when your phone switches? Yes, it will. More on that later. But that's a good place to start, okay? So tinted decreases, this is, I'm reading Apple's bit here. By choosing tinted, you are decreasing the transparency and giving the menus and things that you see a more frosted appearance. It increases the contrast, hopefully makes it a little easier to see. And I think it does. Okay, so that's an easy one. That's changing the clear to the tinted settings there. Now, if the tinted thing, let's go back. Back to settings, back to settings, back to settings. There we go. If the tinted thing works for you and that's enough, cool, congratulations. If you want to make it even a little more contrasty, is that a word? That we can also change that and a couple of other things. So if the tinted thing, like I said, is still too distracting, go a step further, turn off the transparency effects completely and entirely. How do you do that? Now, all of this, a lot of what we're going to do is under the accessibility settings on your phone. And I know you're probably thinking accessibilities. It's like, isn't that for folks with real disabilities? Well, no. It's about making the phone easier to use for everybody. I use a lot of the accessibility settings on my phone every day, and you probably will too after this. So anyway, let's get back to settings. Now, again, if you haven't been there, let's just start from the beginning, right? Gray icon, gear icon, settings. There you go. Scroll down to accessibility. Again, it's a blue one there right at the top of the screen, and tap on accessibility. Now, there's all kinds of things in here. The one we're looking for first is display and text size. See it right there? Again, blue. I'll put it right at the top. Display and text size. All right. So we're going to tap on that. And again, there's a whole bunch of things here, but I just want to bring your attention to a couple of them first. Maybe we'll get to these later or in a later video or something like that, okay? But under display and text size, you can switch, go down to where it says reduce transparency. See about middle of the screen there, right there, reduce transparency. And typically, it's turned off. So if you turn it on, by just tapping on it, it reduces the, I know, on turns things down. I know, don't worry about it. It's a little crazy thing. But the reduce transparency, turn it on, all right? And that will remove a lot of the liquid-looking effects from a lot of the things, okay? It'll replace a lot of the see-through layering with really just solid high-contrast backgrounds, okay? So what does that look? Can we see that? Yeah, look. Look down at the bottom of the screen down there. See the bubble around the 4 icons at the bottom of the screen? You know, most people have like their mail and their phone and their browser, and I have the Gmail app, but that's a whole other story entirely. So let's toggle back and forth between those. So you can see this is with the reduced transparency turned on. So if I go back to my display and brightness and I turn the reduced transparency off, and then I come back to my home screen, see, look down there at the bottom again. See, it's got that, it's almost clear. It's almost like, yeah, okay. Now, is this a big deal on the home screen? No, not really, because, I mean, I use those buttons down there all the time. So do you, right? But it changes it on a lot of different menus and other functions in the phone that you're going to see in other ways, all right? So, but let's leave it on for now. Let's come back, leave that reduce transparency turned on. Crazy wording the way that works. All right. So again, that turns off the liquid effect and it puts it a solid high contrast background on most things. Yeah, okay, cool. Now, if you do that, by the way, and you go back to the liquid glass display, let's go back to display and text size and the liquid glass part of it. Wait a minute. I'm sorry, come back. Not under accessibility, but under display and brightness, the liquid glass, it really isn't going to allow you to change anything here. I mean, you can change it, but, you know, see, if I do that, I tried to turn it off, and it says turn off reduce transparency. So it's like, hey, you're doing something over here on this other screen that's going to change over here if you change this one. Do you really want to do that? I know it's weird, but I'm going to cancel that. I'm going to hit cancel it and leave it as it was. So again, we've left the reduce transparency turned on under accessibility, text, and display. All right. So just know that the two things kind of work together. And if you turn on the reduce transparency, it's not going to let you change settings under the liquid glass settings. That's normal. In the technology world, we say that's expected behavior. It's supposed to do that. You know, it's not like, oh, I broke something, it won't let me change it back. Okay. While I have that moment, I just said that, and I wanted you to, I want to give you a little bit of reassurance about things. I've taught this class, I've taught iPhones and iPads and computers to adult education classes for more than a decade. And one of the things that I'm always hearing from students when they come into class with their iPhone or their iPad or, you know, they're at a computer or something like that, is that as adults, as people our age, I think there's this worry that they're going to do something to their phone that they're going to like break it or I'm going to push a button and it's just all going to, you know, blow up on me or whatever. And think about the last time you saw a child, maybe one of your kids or better yet grandkids, using a phone or an iPad. And what are they doing? They're just going crazy on it, right? They're just trying everything, pushing every button, seeing what everything does. Let that be a lesson to us or a good example. And that is, you can't break it. There's no button you can push on an iPhone that will break it. Okay? I know, Bill. It's weird. I hear you. But I do hear that from students a lot, that there's a real hesitancy, almost concern, almost worry that I'm going to push some button and something's going to happen and it's going to ruin it for me or whatever. So my answer to you is, or my assurance to you is, that you're not going to break it. Just try something. If it doesn't work, you can turn it off or put it back. Or worst comes to worst, you could reset the whole thing and start over again. But that's another story for another day. Okay. All right. So that's the reduce the transparency piece of it. Okay. Again, if that was, I know I spent a lot of time on this, but I want to make it simple and I want to show you what we're doing. And I want you to know that you can do this, that as people our age sometimes use technology, sometimes we get a little, should I say afraid? Is that a right word? We're afraid to try some new things sometimes, or we don't know, so we just kind of shy away from it. And I'm telling you that you can do this. This is easy stuff. There's no big deal with it. You can't break it. And if something does happen, you can always go back. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that in there. All right. One more thing about changing the way that the screen looks and works is the way things move, and Apple calls that morphing. The way things move and morph on screen, the way they change, the way things slide around. You might notice that what they call the fluid morphing effects, that's a fancy term, isn't it? When you open apps or move between screens. And some people get a little dizzy from that. It can be like if you're riding in a car, you ever get car sick, because things are moving and bouncing all the time. Well, that can happen with your electronics too, because you're staring intensely at a screen, and it's like, if it's bouncing and moving like that, I understand that might be a problem. Okay. So again, let's go back to our very beginning here. We're back in settings, right? We're back to settings. And we're going to go back to accessibility. I'm going to put that right at the top where you can see it there, accessibility. I'm going to tap on that. All right, and this time we're going to look for motion. All right, now see this one? It's the green one. See up at the top there? Motion. All right. So now this one, I see I've already turned it off or turned it on. I've already turned on the switch to reduce motion. And like it says right there, reduce the motion for the user interface, including the parallax effect of icons. What the heck does parallax effect mean, Bill? Well, it's just the way things show kind of on top of each other as something slides over or below another item or icon or button or something like that. And again, by turning this switch on, it's kind of like the reduce transparency switch. By turning this switch on, it actually turns that effect off. Why do they do that? Let's write to Apple and say, can we just make it a little more clear, please? But anyway, this stops what they say is that fluid sliding or morphing motion, making the transitions on your phone a lot simpler. All right. Now, it might be helpful on your phone. It's probably going to be even more helpful on your iPad because it's a bigger screen and your eyes have to kind of move and track things a little more on the screen. So check it on your phone, and if it helps, that's good. But if it is something that you've noticed that it's kind of like, that's a little off-putting, that makes, there's a little queasiness there when you see things kind of bounce around. I'm great at getting seasick. Let me tell you that. I am fabulous at if there was a seasick off button, I'd be pushing that for myself. So check it on your phone. If it helps, good. Go over to your iPhone. Same thing. Same things under accessibility and motion and reduce motion, and you turn that on to reduce the motion of things on screen. Awesome. All right. Before we go any farther, I wanted to say that I appreciate you being here and I appreciate you watching. And if you have questions or comments, feel free to drop them below. And if there's a good question about how to do something, it'll probably show up in another video. In the meantime, one of the things that I really like about using the phone or the iPad or whatever is, of course, the little voice assistant Siri. And if I say it too loud, it might show up on the wall. Siri. Oh, see? Yeah, no, she's listening. Nope, never mind. All right. You can use Siri to do a lot of things. And as we do more of these videos, we will be showing you ways to use Siri rather than worrying about trying to find things, right? So like you could, I mean, if I'm back at the home screen, for example, I'm, on my home screen, I say, Siri, open settings. Takes me right to it, right? Nope, I didn't touch anything there. So again, that's just one example of the way you can use Siri. Now, I know Apple has gotten a lot of heat lately over the fact that Siri is not as smart as some other, shall we say, digital assistants out there. If you've played with anything like ChatGPT or Gemini on Google, you probably have been, like me, wildly impressed about how smart these things are, how good they are at communicating with us. They talk like people, they listen like people, and they're way smarter than I am. Siri, not so much, and Apple's taken a lot of heat over that, and they're working to make it better. I'm not here to apologize for Apple or for Siri, but I just do want to say that even though it's not a ChatGPT or a Google Gemini, it can still do a lot for you on your phone without you having to find or press buttons or try and find an app or whatever. Like, for example, let's go back to the home screen. I'm a member at Sam's Club, right? So when I go shopping at Sam's Club, of course, the first thing they want to see your ID card when you walk in the front door. Now, do I have the Sam's Club app on my phone anywhere? Well, no, I don't. I mean, it's probably buried in the app library there, but at the same time, when I'm getting out of my car in the Sam's Club parking lot, and I'm walking up toward the door, the first thing I do is say, Siri, open Sam's Club. And, oh, she didn't hear me. Siri. Oh, she didn't hear me. Siri, open Sam's Club. Took me 3 times, but I got it, right? So anyway, it will allow you to do things with your phone way easier than digging around trying to find apps. If you have hundreds and hundreds of apps on your phone, and like I got a few of them on the screen there, the ones I use most often. I mean, I put, there, I got Twitter and the camera and the maps and, Google Photos and some things like that I use all the time. But every once in a while, there's an app that I don't use all the time, but I still have on the phone. And I just ask Siri to open it for me. And it makes it so much easier because now I'm not digging for it. So, long story short, if you'd like to learn more about using Siri on your phone or iPad, and nowadays it's on your Mac computer if you have a Mac too, all I'm going to say is I've prepared... what I've done is I've put together a little Siri cheat sheet, shall we say, something you can download, print, use, keep handy, do whatever you want. It's got about 12 or 15 different things that Siri can do really well for you right now. And if you'd like to get a free copy of that, just drop the word Siri in the comments below, and I'll send it to you. I just wanted to remind you of that. Okay, so let's move on and talk about a couple of other things that you can do to make your phone easier to use, easier to read, okay? We've already talked about getting rid of some of those liquid glass effects. And you can see on my phone here, I've got the high contrast turned on. So below there, it doesn't, it doesn't see through. I can see a real background on that. And, I can see when I slide from side to side, it's pretty standard looking stuff. It's pretty easy stuff. So I've turned off the motion as well. I've turned reduce motion on and I've turned the tinting off. So we have the contrast going. All right, let's move on. Bold text, bigger icons. A couple of things that you can do to make it easier just to read flat out without motion or glass or anything like that, okay? Let's talk about a couple of things that will actually make things bigger so you can see them on your phone that much easier. Bold text is the first one that I do like. And again, all of this stuff in settings. So once again, back to our settings button up at the top. All right, there we are for settings. And then again, back to display and brightness. There's our display and brightness. Put it right up at the top. Tap on that. And we've already been here because we were looking at the liquid glass stuff, right? But scroll down a little bit, and now we have a couple of things that we can change that will make it even easier to read. And they are the text size and bold text. You see them right there at the top of the screen, right? So if you want, you can change the text size on some apps. I'll get into that a little bit more. But for now, know this, that little slider at the bottom there, you see way down there at the bottom. If I slide it over, look how the text gets bigger, 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 smaller, 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 bigger, bigger, smaller, smaller, okay? Now that will change the text size in apps that support that function. And that's a couple of important things to keep in mind there, because not all apps recognize this setting, this change, okay? So it's not going to work for everything, but it's worth a try. All right, so more on that in a second. But I do want to come back and show you. Now look, by the way, look at what I did here. I made it bigger. Let's rewind a little bit. Let me show you that again. See how big text, kind of look at the screen and see how big text size is there. So if I come back and I scroll this down, see how it's getting smaller, smaller, smaller there. And then I back up a screen, look at how small it is there. The bold text and the text size. A lot smaller. In fact, way too small for me. But I'm going to tap on text size and I'm going to scroll. Actually, no, scroll is the wrong word. I'm going to put my finger on it. I'm going to drag it over to the left to make it bigger. And then when I go back to that previous screen, look at how much bigger it is. Very interesting. Okay. Now, does it work in every app? Like I said, it does not. Just try it. Again, try it. You can't break it. And if it's too big or if you mess it up, you can come back here and you can make it smaller. The other one is bold text, and that's either an on or an off. Okay, so right now it's off. If I watch the text, if I hit the bold text, oh, it makes it bold text. Okay, and again, that's going to help you in other apps to make things look a little darker and a little, meatier, a little easier to read. I'm looking at my screen here, and I'm trying to see if the bold text made a difference. Let's look kind of carefully at where it says settings there. All right, I'm looking at that text, and then I come back to bold, and I turn off bold, and I come back to the screen. Yeah, it doesn't, I can't really tell if it's making a difference on that screen or not. It's not anything that's really making a big difference for me, so I'm not going to worry about it on that. However, on other things, yeah, I like that. I'm going to leave it on, okay? So that's bold and size. And again, doesn't work on every app, but if it's an iPhone app, it's probably going to work on it, okay? If it's another app that you've downloaded from somebody else, like a Google Gmail or something like that, maybe yes, maybe no, all right? So, but having said that, I do want to show you that there's other ways of changing that. Now, I've already showed you that I have the Gmail app down there that I use for most of my, email function is with Gmail, okay? Now, kind of look at the size of that text there. All right, the top one, second one up there, Opus Clip, new in editing in mobile app, ... because it only gives you the first line and then it truncates it or shortens it, okay? YouTube, now live on your channel. Well, guess what? We're live on the channel. Very good. In the control panel of your iPhone, there's a way to change the text size within individual apps, okay? So now we're getting a little into a little more technical stuff, but hang in there, it's all good. Remember, you've probably already done this before. If you put your finger up in the upper right corner, basically I'm putting my finger right on where the little battery and the little Wi-Fi signal is up there, and I pull down on it, it opens up the control panel. Have you seen that before? Maybe we'll do a whole video on this. Sounds like it might be worth it. Again, finger in the upper, let's go back. Finger in the upper right corner of the phone, upper right corner, basically where that again, battery icon and the Wi-Fi app is. And I just put my finger up there and I just literally drag it down and it opens up this control panel. All right. One of the items on the control panel, see the double A over there, the AA next to calculator. If I tap on that, it opens up, come back, there it is, the text size. Now here's where you can do it app by app. All right. So again, look at the very bottom and it's got Gmail only and all apps. Now, how does it know Gmail? Why does it pick that one? Well, because if I go back to my main screen, that's the app that's open. So if I open the Gmail app, right? I have Gmail open and I pull down on here on the top to get to the control panel and I press and hold on that double A button there. And all I'm doing, sorry, let me get back to that. I know it's kind of hard to see on this little screen here, but it's the same as that one over there. I'm basically putting my finger right on the double A and I'm holding it down and it opens that up. And now I can put my finger on the little pill there and I can drag that up and up and down. This is hard to do. Okay, let's try it again. Drag it up and down. See? And it even tells you what it's doing there. Text size, 150, 100, 130. All right, let's put it on 100%. Let's just default 100%. Okay. And let's go back to Gmail. Now look. That second headline, Opus Clip, new in, editing in mobile app, comma, text something. So what happened? It's showing us more text now because it made it smaller. Okay. Probably not what we want to do. We probably want to make it bigger. I know I do. So again, same thing. Finger on the battery and drag down. And then press and hold on double A. And then slide up. And now I've got it at, well, let's just go crazy. Let's do 235. Okay. And then come back to Gmail and look at how much bigger. Now the Opus Clip headline, new in editing in mobile. In other words, it's made it so big that it no longer fits all the text that it had previously, right? So you can get bigger lettering, easier to read, but the trade-off is, remember that you're not going to get as much text on screen at the same time because it's bigger and the screen's only so big, okay? While we're here, let's go back. While we're here, as I showed you, it's got the Gmail on one side because that's that open app. If you had something else open, if you had your regular mail app open, it would show the regular mail app. Or you can do all apps. I'm not a big fan of that because it might change something in some app that makes it either so big or so small that it becomes unusable, okay? For me, I like to use just the one app at a time. And for me, I've got Gmail open. Okay, let me show you the difference. I'm going to go back. I'm going to close all of this. Close, close, close. All right. I'm going to open the regular mail app. See right there, the regular mail app? That's the one that comes built in with your iPhone. Okay? So now, again, there's the Opus Clip email. The same email we were looking at Gmail. New in, editing in mobile app, comma, text, ... Okay, pretty good. And again, same trick. Finger on the battery icon up at the top, drag down. Same trick, press and hold. And now look at the bottom. It's changed it to where it says mail only. Okay, cool. Mail. By the way, if I tap the other one, if I tap all apps, see how the little highlight slides over? But I'm going to keep it on mail only. And I'm going to go from, it's now at 160. I'm going to go down just to, again, play with it, play with the numbers. Let's go down to 90%. It's going to be tiny. And now let's come back out. Oh boy. Oh boy. Now, here, look at this Opus Clip. New in, editing in mobile app, new text, hooks, and time, blah, blah, blah. Shows a ton more text, but it's tiny. It's always a trade-off, isn't it? It's always a trade-off. All right, swipe down, press and hold, drag up. Let's make it even bigger. 75. Swipe up, swipe up. Whoa! Okay, you get 2 words. And by the way, when I open the email, same thing on the inside. It's like really, really, really big. Which, again, if that helps you, if that's what you need to make it work for you, go ahead and do it. To me, that's too big. I mean, my eyes aren't great, but that's too big even for me. All right, so I'm going to put it, let's go back to 135. Okay, cool. And then let's go back, and there we are. I can show you the main screen there that had the Opus Clip text app. Again, just do what works for you. Oops. Just do what works for you and play with it. I know, play with it. I know, crazy. Playing with a $1,000 piece of technology. Yeah, play with it. Try it. It'll work. Okay, so 2 ways of changing the text on screen on any given app. And again, just as a reminder, it doesn't work on all of them. Some apps are not, I don't know what the word is, built in, baked into the Apple system well enough to recognize that command. But having said that, virtually everything that's an Apple app, the mail and the messages, text messages is another one, by the way, right? Text messages, crazy. You can make text messages bigger, smaller, right? There's, a whole bunch of people here, a whole bunch of things. All right, if I come down, again, drag down, press and hold, see, messages only. Make it a lot smaller so I can see more stuff. Back to it, tiny, right? So keep in mind that no matter what you do, it's going to affect the app that you have selected here. All right, and now I don't have any apps open, so now it's home screen or all apps. Now, I haven't tried it with the home screen. Let's try that. Let's crank it up on the home screen. Let's go back to the home screen. Yeah, no, not so much. It doesn't change that much. So again, I'm not going to worry about it. Here we are under settings, though, and it's kind of tiny. So, all right, back to where we were. Let's go back. Oh, look. It sure as heck changed the size of the screen in the control panel, didn't it? Yikes. All right, let's make that bigger. And all apps, yes. Oh, settings only, all apps. Yeah, on 35. Okay, there we go. Good. All right. Actually, I think I screwed that up. Look, I messed it up. I've got to go back and change it. What happened, Bill? Well, if I come down to the, no, I didn't want to do that. If I come back to here, I had actually changed the text size in all apps in the control panel, and now that control panel was staying big even though I got out of it. Let's go back and see if we can change that back. Text. All apps, settings only. All, smaller. Thank you. Settings. Oh. All, settings, smaller. Thank you. Okay. You can't break it. You can drive yourself crazy sometimes, though. Okay. All right, so that's the text size and the bold size as well, okay? Now, there's another one that's called display zoom, which is similar, all right? Not sure that we need to get into that now. We've done enough with the text size as well, so it'll just, make things bigger. Now, there is something in here. Take a look at the outside on the home screen with the icons for the buttons, call them whatever you want, the app buttons or whatever. You can actually make that bigger or smaller as well under the zoom, the text zoom, and that again under display and brightness. All right, here we are, liquid glass, etc., etc. Text size, we got that there. Auto lock, raise to wake, always on. Here is at the very bottom. All right, all right. Let me catch you up on that. All right, we're in settings. I went back down to display and brightness. There we are. And at the very bottom of display and brightness, there's display zoom. Okay. Now, I've got it on default, but you can also set it to larger text. All right, before we do that, let's take a look. So we're on default, which means the regular normal text. Let's go back to the home page. Look at what that kind of take in the lay of the land there with all of that. Okay, so we got 4 across, and they're, you know, about some size there. Okay, I see it. Let's go back to display and brightness, all the way to the bottom, display and zoom, larger text. All right, now let's go back to the home screen. It doesn't look any different to me. All right, that's why I'm not too crazy about that particular setting. I'm not sure that one does anything. All right, I'm not going to worry about it. I'll cut that out of the finished videotape. All right, cool. So again, you can change the size of things. You can change the bold text of things, and you can change it on an app-by-app basis to make sure that it's all going to look exactly the way you want it to, depending on the app you're using. You know, with your mail, you might want it bigger. With messages, you might want it even bigger. With some things, not so much. Once again, let me remind you, and again, thank you for joining us on this particular iPhone Friday office hours. My plan is that every Friday we're going to do another office hours kind of a Q&A or a show and tell, whatever you want to call it. And then during the week, here on the same channel on Bill's iPhone Tips, if you do a search for it on YouTube, I'm going to take and cut out some of the chunks of this video and turn it into a little bit better, a little bit more organized kind of a show and tell demonstration of how you can make your iPhone work for you rather than the other way around. Okay, so appreciate that. Once again, if you are using your iPhone or iPad on an everyday basis, you're probably going to benefit from using Siri a little bit more than you're doing right now. It's baked into your phone, and it's pretty good at understanding commands and doing things for you on the phone that you might normally have to hunt and peck and find stuff. And I used the Sam's Club example before, like when I'm walking into my local Sam's Club and I have to show them my ID card, I just tell Siri to open my Sam's Club app, and it opens the Sam's Club app, and I don't have to find it. I've put together a list of 15 good tips and tricks that Siri can do for you on your phone right now. So, I said the word. See, they changed it, right? In the old days, remember when you used to say Siri and it would show the little spinning ball down at the bottom of the screen you would know it was on? Now when you say Siri, it shows it as a Siri. It shows it as a ring around the screen, a colored ring around the screen. That's another thing that they changed. Where was I? Back to my tips and tricks for Siri. I've got a dozen, 15 good tips and tricks. Some of them fun, some of them things you can do, some of them, you know, if you need help with things. Like if I just said, Siri, what's the weather today?
The National Weather Service has issued an extreme cold warning. Looks like it will be cloudy today.
There you go. But you can do other things too, like something crazy, stupid, simple. Siri, roll the dice.
Rolling. It came up 2.
Siri, pick a card. Nope. Get rid of that one.
Okay. It's the 8 of spades this time.
Is that important? No, but maybe you could find some fun in that. I don't know. There's a whole bunch of things you could do like that. More useful things too, trust me. If I wanted to find the nearest Starbucks, if I wanted to find the nearest McDonald's while I'm driving, if I wanted to, you know, get directions to something, you can do all of that with Siri without having to type anything. So, long story short, if you would like the Siri cheat sheet that I've put together, I'll give it to you for free. Just drop the word Siri in the comments below, and I will send it to you. All right. Crazy, I know, just crazy. I think we're going to wrap it up at that today because I've just feel like I've been talking a bunch. I want to thank you for hanging out with me. Coming up during the week, we are going to go back. I am going to go back, edit the video, find the 2 or 3 important things that we've talked about today to make your phone easier to use. Now, 3 things that we've really done that are kind of important, okay? The first is turning off or reducing the liquid glass settings on your phone. It just makes it more stable, especially again for more senior eyes. It makes it easier to read, easier to see. It doesn't bounce around as much. So we can turn off the liquid glass. We can turn off some of the transparency settings. We can turn down the way the screen kind of moves, and their word is morph. I call it more of a shape. So anyway, we can do all of that. The other thing that we talked about, turning up things like bold text, making text bigger on screen so that it's easier to read. And you can do it on an app by app basis, or you can do it across the whole phone if you would like. Keeping in mind that different apps respond differently to that kind of command. So again, just try it. You can't break it. See if you like it. And if it works, leave it. And if it doesn't, put it back the way it was. Okay? It's as simple as that. And the other thing, of course, we talked about the accessibility things that you can turn on and off. Don't worry that it's accessibility. People kind of get a little freaked out over that. But again, you can turn off some things with the display, the text size, the transparency, all of that stuff, and make it easier to read with bold text and bigger text, no matter whether it's in an app or just on the phone all by itself. All right. It's going to do it for this week. So far, so good. We got through our first office hours together. I really appreciate you being here with me. Again, if you're interested in that Siri cheat sheet, I will send it to you for free. Just drop the word Siri in the comments below. If you have questions about any of the things we have talked about on the show today, drop those as well, and I will make either a separate video or address them on next week's office hours broadcast. This being the first, I didn't really have any questions to check out. I do want to say thanks. We had a couple of folks drop comments in there as well. So is my setting supposed to be stereo or mono when I record my videos on my iPhone? I hadn't thought of that. If you record videos, I don't know that. I don't even know that it will do stereo versus mono, because an iPhone only has one microphone. So unless you're using an external microphone that might make a difference, I don't know that. So I'll look it up. I will check on it as well. All right. So thanks for the question. Appreciate it. Again, questions or comments, drop them below. Drop the word Siri below if you want the free cheat sheet. And be sure to come back during the week to check out the videos as we get them produced for Bill's iPhone Tips. And we'll see you out there again. Thanks for joining us. Take care.